we want to give you a lead, folks. You know, if you went on to Fluoride Alert, check it out right there, Fluoride Alert, all right? And that's the Fluoride Action Network. Okay, you can get all types of information, video streams, and they'll bring you up to date on the situation around the world. Different countries throughout the world that refuse to use fluoride and the reasons why. Come on, people, stop your bitches, start a revolution. You are a guinea pig, and gotta learn how to detoxify yourself, because you must know that good health and clear thinking in the age that we live is political dissent, people. That's right. Because I'll tell you, they don't want you thinking properly, because you know, obviously there's things in the air. We could bring up chemtrails. We could, couldn't we?
Yep. Yeah, a couple things we briefly talked about, you know, in regards to the fluoride was like during World War II, you know, the Germans discovered that you know, one way to control the population was through mass medications of the water, and one of the things that they did was fluoridate the water to keep the people dumb.
Right.
You know, now, Russia as well.
You made
China.
A good point, medication. Now, folks, what are they doing putting medicine in your water? These other countries over in Western Europe, Germany included, they refuse to put fluoride in. Why? Because anything else that's in your water is supposed to be there to purify your water. Why put a medicine in when you don't make the decision yourself to have it put in there? And if you wanted it, you could go see your doctor to get a prescription. All right, folks, come on, let's use a little common sense here. Check this stuff out for yourself, research for yourself, and don't be lazy. All right, come on, because that's what this fluoride's supposed to do, dumb you down. All right, so snap out of it and do something, please.
You know, in the weeks ahead, we're going to be showing you a video called, it's a 3-part series, we'll have to break it up into, unfortunately, called Sweet Misery. It's mostly about aspartame, but they do talk a little bit about fluoride, and then there's a section in there that I found extremely interesting where this neurologist was talking about the blood-brain barrier.
Oh, yeah.
You know, now, one of the things that has been the opponents, or the supporters of fluoridated water, has said that fluoride doesn't penetrate the blood-brain barrier. Well, it may not on healthy, usually younger individuals. But when you start suffering from other diseases, your immune system starts to weaken. As you get older, your blood-brain barrier thins and weakens, and that material does pass through.
After brushing your teeth for so many years, what does it say right on the back of your tube of toothpaste? I brought one here, I forgot to bring it into the studio. What does it say there? It says, anyone under the age of 6, first of all, shouldn't use it, and to call the what? Poison Control Center if you use too much, or if you swallow it.
If you swallow it, you know, that's...
Good Lord Almighty, people, come on, snap out of it. What are you gonna do, keep using it? Keep using your fluoride-based toothpaste? Come on!
You know, and fluoride, it's a topical treatment. I'm going to repeat that. Topical treatment means you treat it, you know, like the surface of your skin or the surface of your teeth. It is not systemic, which means you ingest it internally and it affects your teeth that way. It doesn't do any of that whatsoever. So why do we put it in the water? Well, really, you know, you said conspiracy earlier. Excuse me. It's not. It's a conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy of greed. What do they do with, you know, the millions of gallons of sodium fluoride, which are byproducts from the aluminum production? What do they do with it?
It's a waste product.
Right. You know, it's a waste product. So how do you safely dispose of it? Well, let's convince the people that it's good for them. We'll put it in their water. And you know, prolonged exposure dumbs you down, so you won't even stop and think about it.
Folks, if you don't think in this country, in this day and age, that there is not secret U.S. human biological experimentation going on, well, then you weren't here with us last week or weeks past when we talked about MK Ultra. Folks, last week we just touched base. You know, go online, please do some research about the biological experimentation going on in this country. Fluoride just being one of them, you know, HIV being another. Anyway, Buzz, what about chemtrails?
Oh, that's what
now, why don't you differentiate?
I would say it's
and let
my
the
favorite.
Folks, here's a nice picture of some chemtrails. Here's a nice picture of some contrails. Tell them the difference, Buzz.
Well, the condensation trail, I mean, you'll see those far back as World War II B-17 bombers flying at high altitudes, the superheated air, or the air being sucked into a superheated engine, being so cold, condensed very dramatically and spewed out all the moisture. And then now the pilots of those days, they weren't too crazy about that because it was like this great big marker in the sky for the Nazis to shoot at.
Right.
But one thing that did happen was those condensation trails would evaporate somewhere between usually 20 to 40 seconds. It would re-evaporate back into the air. Now, a chemtrail, as you notice, doesn't evaporate.
A 50-mile long
Well, it goes from like
Vapor.
sometimes one end of the horizon to the other.
Good Lord.
And if you really start to watch them, you'll notice that they form clouds.
We're losing our blue sky that's blotting out the sun. We're out there under the sunshine thinking we're breathing healthy air, but what are we actually breathing? Now, there's been studies done, folks, let me tell you. All right here from March 14th, all right? German scientist exposes chemtrails as military operations. Okay, now he particularly is accusing them of weather manipulation, and, well, it's prohibited, both here and in Germany, weather manipulation. I mean, if you think about the long-term consequences of weather manipulation, all right, it's nothing new. If you look into Tesla technology, it can be used as a means of war, which is to say that, you know, what happened down in New Orleans, you know, you just bring in
a hurricane,
whatever it is.
You know, Uniform Commercial Code, Section 9.
Out of the chaos, rebuild the order. Hey, this is what they do, folks. Know your enemy. Woo!
To recharge the system. You know, Paul McCartney used rain suppression technology at his outdoor concerts. There's a company out of former Soviet Union in Russia, I believe it is. Could have been Georgia, I forget. One of those two. For $200 per square, for $200 per 200 square miles, they will prevent rain or start rain. And that's just the most basic of weather manipulations. You know, through our Uniform Commercial Code, Section 9, whatever subsections, we have made laws regarding weather modifications. That means, hence, we have the technology to do it.
Absolutely.
94, Congress passed a law prohibiting the military and our government from experimenting on the public without public knowledge.
We have the HARP program, folks, okay? What is it, H-A-R-R-P?
Yeah, High Altitude Aurora Research Project.
And the Russians have a program called Woodpecker. It's the same, digging into Tesla technology and, you know, working with the electromagnetic atmosphere. Now, what are some of the things that have been found in some of these chemtrails? And yet it doesn't seem like we can come up against the military-industrial complex in any way. No one wants to give any money for funding the research of this, but yet independent scientists have checked it out, and what do they got? What's in the air, Buzz? What's happening?
Well, it's funny, you know, no government agency will acknowledge that chemtrails actually exist. People have actually brought, you know, air samples to the EPA, and the EPA analyzed them, obviously, because they refused to reveal what the results showed. Now, there is a guy out there, his name is Clifford Carnicom, C-A-R-N-I-C-O-M. Now, his website is just chock full of information.
It'll scare the crap out of you, folks.
And now some of the things that he has discovered is how the atmosphere now is carrying it carries an electrical charge much easier. Some of his theories,
because of the chemtrails being laid down.
Because of the chemtrails. Now some of the materials that have been found in the chemtrail soup mix has been fibrous materials to carry these desiccated red blood cells, different pathogens, barium, aluminum, a few other radioactive type materials, funguses.
This is serious as a heart attack, folks, just like us right here in the Department of Freedom.
You know, and there's tons of documented evidence to support the claim that there's being sprayed. Up in Ontario, Canada, back in the mid-90s, people started noticing their children were getting sick. And the one thing that they all started to notice was the jets flying overhead were now all of a sudden spraying condensation trails. And they had hired an investigative reporter to research, and what he found was very disturbing. The fact was that these jets are purposefully spraying the people. Now, back in 1952, one of the developers who worked on the Manhattan Project, developed the atomic bomb, had applied for a patent, or has a patent, for what is called a light dispersal aerosol component.
What's that all about, Buzzy?
Well, you know, the closest thing we can get to any government official explanation of what that is it's supposed to help thwart global warming.
Yeah.
The whole principle of that refracting chemical is that, I just used a double negative there, but is to reflect 1% of the light back out into space, 1% of the sun's energy. The only catch is you let 99% in, how much of that is getting refracted back into our atmosphere. Now also, we showed you in past show on Food for Thought, in 1974, the Navy has a patent for an aerosol dispersal system which attaches to the tail end of their jets. So now you take the two, put them together, what do you have? You have the whole components for what we perceive today to be chemtrails. Now, when you look at all the theories regarding global warming and how they're using that manipulative fear and propaganda to push us into things like carbon taxes,
You know it's coming.
You know, Connecticut's supposedly the leader in this country
Yes,
now
I
that
heard
wants
it
to
on
push
TIC
that. I couldn't
last
believe
week.
it.
Boy, we're a bunch of dummies.
You know.